Enganche, one of the most unused roles in Football Manager. Today I'm going to put it to the test and see, can you use it? Is it any good? And really push the limits of the Enganche, the excellent Enganche. If you do enjoy the tactics so far on this channel, be sure to leave a like and subscribe, because we've got so many more coming this year before FM25. It's constant, and there are so many fresh ideas I want to bring to you guys. So if you do enjoy the content that much, you can also turn on the notification bell. That is completely free. And if you enjoy rebuilds, you can come over and check out my rebuild channel in the link below. And also, if I remind myself, I'll put it on the screen. But let's go through and see what the results look like with a treble Enganche. So it's unfamiliar territory for me. I've never used an Enganche. I don't even know what an Enganche was. So I've done a lot of research, seeing what sort of players can use it. And to be fair, there are better roles in the game, but I was very happy with PSG, for example. Don't worry, we have tested with smaller teams as well. But I wanted to see what it done with the best team to really get a sort of flat level expectation, you know? So PSG come out with 33 wins, 1 loss. I mean, it's a very, very good season. That is going to be against Strasbourg, which is a little bit annoying, but overall, a very, very strong season. And Mbappe thrived off having 3 Enganches behind him. 65 goals. Marco comes in with 18 goals. And Mbappe, Marco, and Hakimi, first, second, and third with the average rating. And 3 players with the most assists. Now, when it comes to the clean sheets, we are going to have 17 out of Donnarumma. And it appears to be a very convincing season. Fewest conceded, most clean sheets, fewer shots, most shots for, most points, and the most goals. Is the treble Enganche the way forward? Have we broken the game? Now, competition-wise, it is going to be a treble. The French Cup, we are going to beat Monaco in a 3-0 win. And the Trophy de Champion, little French twang, a 5-1 win over Toulouse. The only bit we fail in is actually winning that Champions League against AC Milan. We get knocked out in the semi-finals. Now, the Data Hub is going to paint the tail. 4.35 goals per game, only 0.5 conceded. Over 24.44 shots per game, an 89% pass completion, and a tackle win ratio of 76.77. That is a very strong start. Now, the French Cup final against Monaco, we did actually obviously win it 3-0. It was a very easy final to win, and that is one of the Enganches. One of the Enganches having a little pop at goal, and if that's what it means they do, I'm going to start playing them more often. And Fabian, another Enganche, maybe the Enganches are taking over, because that is 2 goals from them alone, and that was the other Enganche. It's a treble Enganche. Over to Milan, where we actually have an invincible season, 37 wins and just the 1 draw. Olivier Giroud getting fed by the treble Enganche. Please, someone get an Enganche counter on the comments, because I'm going to say it so many times. 34 goals out of Pulisic, Hernandez, Giroud, and it is going to be Calibra coming in with first, second, and third with the average rating. 3 players with the most assists, and it is going to be Maignan picking up the most clean sheets with 31, which is a very, very strong defensive record. And as you can see, most goals, most shots for, fewer shots against, fewest conceded, the most clean sheets. We absolutely took over. We took over Italian football. There's no other way of putting it. It's incredible. It really, really is. We also go on to win the Champions League against Real Madrid, obviously beating PSG, who we tested with as well. That is going to be a very convincing final in 3-0 fashion. And the Italian Cup, we absolutely blitz Atalanta in 5-1 fashion. Now, the Data Hub is going to be very, very good. 4.42 goals per game, 0.21 conceded, 26.18 shots per game, a bang on 89% pass completion, and a very good tackle win ratio. I think the Enganche might be delivered and sent for the Italian Serie A. That might be where it belongs. What a role. Then go to Osnabrück, a team predicted to finish 17th, so in the relegation in the Bundesliga 2, we come out and we say, do you know what? Nah, we ain't getting relegated. We're not in the top 10. We're not in the top 4. We'll win the whole lot. We come out, we win 23, draw 8 games, and lose the other 3. So not invincible, but still a very, very strong season. The top goal scorer coming in there. We've also got 3 players in the average rating. 1 player picking up the most assists. Defensively, not rank 1, which is a little bit annoying compared to the standards what we have set in the last 2 teams. We do pick up the fewest conceded, the fewest shots against, the most shots, the most goals, and the most points per game. Now, I will say we are runners-up in the Pokal. To even get to the final in the Pokal is an absolute miracle. So the Enganche clearly thrives in the Bundesliga too as well. And we do lose to RB Leipzig, which I would be annoyed about, but you know how much I love the Red Bull. I can't be too annoyed. And overall, a Data Hub is also going to not, I imagine, not look too bad. First time looking at it, 2.09, 0.71. It's very good, obviously scoring easily doubles what we are going to be conceding, a decent amount of shots per game, a very high pass completion. This I'm really happy with, by the way, considering the level of players we have. The tackle win ratio maybe could be a little bit better, but with that season, I'm not going to complain. And I was unsure to brag about this, but we test with Fulham and we win the Premier League, but it wasn't a pretty season necessarily. We draw 3 and lose 4, but then I think as Fulham, that is a pretty season. You're not going to go invincible with Fulham. I've got to lower the expectations. That is a ridiculous result in the first season. It's going to be Broja and Willian second and third. We are never going to outscore the absolute robot that's Erling Haaland. Broja and another player second and third with the average rating, and first and second with Wilson picking up 21 assists in the Premier League season, and Leno picking up the most amount of clean sheets. And what I've realised with the Enganches is, because you can't play them in an attack and role, they actually do sometimes come back and defend, so defensively they're also really sound as well. Now going over to the stats, most points per game, most goals, most shots for, fewest shots against, the fewest conceded, and the most clean sheets. We really have taken Fulham and turned them into one of the better teams. Now I will say, if you are going to pick a sort of mid-table team, Fulham are probably one of the best teams to have in this game. They've got some players in this game that are just utterly incredible, so maybe I should have gone with maybe a Wolves or something, but you can always leave a comment on what Premier League team you want to see tested with next, and I'll make sure that happens. So let's just see, what else did we win? We're going to find out. That is right, the FA Cup, where you're going to beat Aston Villa in the final, a very unique final, 5-3, very, very close. And the Carabao Cup, we just about get by. I say just about, we smashed Manchester United 3-1. A very convincing treble-winning season in Season 1. We done it with Everton the other day. We done it with Fulham. Who do we do it with next? And the Data Hub is going to be looking like this. 3.26 goals per game, 0.53 conceded, over 19.5 shots a game, a great pass completion, and a fantastic tackle win ratio. That is a tactic I can truly say I absolutely admire. We deserve to win the league because we were actually beating teams like Man City. This is a game at home where we come out and decide to win 4-1, and I will show you the Man City team afterwards. It was a full strength team, no freebies here. We were just playing some absolutely intelligent and elegant football, and we were just on it. We were winning the ball back, forcing errors out of the back line, Man City going asleep. We took advantage, and do you know what? They got 1 goal from a penalty. That's all they could offer throughout the game. We then go out and get the last goal, have the last laugh. Broja, it's a little bit lucky, that's the match engine for you, but do you know what? It is such a convincing win, and the stats were somewhat equal. They dominated possession, but we took our chances, they didn't. We deserve it. Now, of course, over to your favourite part of the video, the tactic breakdown. If you are enjoying back home, please do consider leaving a like on the video and subscribing to the channel. And if you want all 3 tactics today, you want them on console, you want them on mobile, because we cover the whole lot. You want them early, you want the rebuild files, you want your tactics prioritised and your rebuild requests prioritised. You also want me to tweak your tactics. You want access to this month's giveaway, which is £375 split between 5 lucky winners, so a really good chance of winning a sweet bob or two. You can come over and join the Patreon, where you can personally be part of one of the 4,600 people. So come over and get involved. The community is growing by about 80 people a day. It's an absolute madness. Come over and get involved, because if you're a Football Manager fan, you're missing out. And even if you aren't a Football Manager fan, don't know why you're watching a video, you can win some money. So come over and get involved. But let's go through and talk through this system. So for the first time in a long time, I want to say, we are going to go down and we are actually going to create our own style. So that is meaning a clean slate. And we are just going to load in pretty much anything to start with. And we are going to make sure it is on the positive mentality, just to clarify that. Let's go through and build this very unique but very good looking system. So let's start things off with the goalkeeper. We are not going to go with a goalkeeper, we are going to go with a sweeper keeper, who is simply going to be set to support. Again, I say it in my last couple of videos, I don't usually like to take a lot of risks when it comes to having a goalkeeper in the goal. Sometimes it's needed, but in this tactic we didn't really need anyone to be doing anything extra. The back line was quite resilient and quite composed anyway. When it comes to the wing backs, it's going to be very simple to follow this back line, I can tell you that. We are simply going to go with a wing back who is simply going to be on attack for the right hand side, and we're going to replicate it on the left hand side. That is going to be 2 wing backs, simply both on the default. And to make it even more basic, we are going to have 2 ball playing defenders again, who are going to simply be on the default. Now, I always test these tactics. It takes me absolutely ages to test a tactic because I want to perfect it as much as what I can. And in this tactic, I don't know what it was, but playing in quite a balanced way with not loads of instructions. Not always loads of instructions means a better tactic, is what I'm trying to say. Playing like this really did work. So we're going to leave it like this. If you do wish to add more instructions, if you think it's needed, you can do so, but all the results you see in the video were done by playing this way. Now going over to the midfield, it does take a little bit of a change, so let's go through and talk about that. The right hand side of the midfield, we are going to introduce a DM who is going to be on support, and yes, he is going to have some instructions. He is going to be told to hold his position and also tackle harder. So a DM who's going to sit quite deep, holding the position and putting in the occasional, or quite the often hard challenge to win the ball back, is something we really do need in that team, because next to him, because we've got another defensive player, we can afford to have a Volante who's a little bit more progressive, and he's going to be told to move into the channels. He's also going to be told to tackle harder, and also we're going to have, let me remind myself, we are going to have him on close down more. Now, the reason why I've got him on close down more is because I want the midfield to be quite aggressive, because we are basically, although we're not playing as a gegenpress system, it is quite an aggressive tactic. So I want the DM to be putting in challenges, and I want the Volante to also be tackling quite hard, but also putting in quite aggressive challenges so we can win the ball back and basically feed right away the free enganches, which we are now going to talk about, because this is the heart of the team. This is what this tactic means. This is what the tactic is about. It is going to be deploying free enganches. So let's just put them all in to start with. I don't know if anyone has done this year. If they have, then I can assure you I've not copied it. I don't think anyone would have been crazy enough to try do free enganches. But let's go through and go with the instructions. So on the wide ones, the right one and the left one, it's going to be simply set to stay wider, get further forwards, and of course tackle harder. So it's going to be 3 instructions there for the right hand side, and the left hand side we are going to do exactly the same. So get further forwards, stay wider, and also tackle harder. So with these players, they're essentially going to act like wingers now. So that is why you saw some of the players almost look like a winger, because they are staying wider, they're getting forwards, they're doing all sorts of business, and it works really, really well. And this is actually basically a 4-2-3-1. Now in the middle, of course, we're not going to tell him to stay wide because you can't, and we are going to have him simply on tackle harder, not get further forwards, because I want one player to be quite deep almost, who can basically pick up the ball from the Volante and the DM, because these two are going to be getting forwards and almost acting like wingers. So that is exactly why the middle option is going to be left on support. Now the advanced forward has got a few instructions. Those are going to include roam from position and also close down more alongside a tackle harder. Again, an advanced forward that's almost a hybrid with a pressing forward with the close down more. Get aggressive, put a challenge in, don't be afraid. And that is going to complete the player roles. Now to the team instructions. So again, all based off a clean slate on the positive mentality, we are going to up this to fairly wide. Again, providing a little bit of width to the tactic is absolutely vital with a system like this. We're going to pass into the space while overlapping left and overlapping right. Again, incredibly important. We are getting those wing backs involved. Playing out from the back because we have got 2 ball playing defenders and 2 deeper midfielders, so it's quite easy to do that. The tempo is going to be set to higher with a shorter passing directness, and we are going to run at defense with also the mixed crosses. Again, as I always say in the videos, if you've got a big striker, floated, small striker, low, mixture, sort of, 5'11", 5'10", go with the mixed crosses. For me, I always leave it on mixed crosses usually, because I try and make these tactics universal so you can download them and simply put it into your team. Now in transition, we are going to go with counter press, counter, and play to the centre backs. I've not really got a favoured distribution type, so we're simply going to leave it like that, nice and basic. And out of possession, we are going to go with the standard line, the high pressing line of engagement, much more often, and also get stuck in. Now, it's absolutely vital today you stick around for the attacking and defensive tactics, because it does change a lot, and in some games I did use the attacking variant to go out and score a lot of the goals. For example, the cup finals, that did happen. So do stick around. We're now going to get right into the attacking variant, where we go down to 1 Enganche and really turn into the provider role. So with the attacking Enganche, we go down to 1 Enganche, and he becomes the feeder for the Shadow Strikers. But let's go through the whole team. The goalkeeper remains the same, the wing backs remain the same, as does both of the ball playing defenders, because the back line was perfect in the default one. Don't really need to alter it at all, so leave it nice and simple. 2 Volantes now, one on the right on get further forwards, move into the channels and tackle harder, and the one on the left, move into the channels, close down more, and also tackle harder. So a nice mixture between both Volantes, both providing something a little bit different. We then go with 2 Shadow Strikers, both on stay wider and both on tackle harder. Of course, they do sometimes act as almost 3 strikers when they are pushing up very, very high up the pitch. And to feed them and to help link up that play is the Enganche on support, simply on tackle harder. A very interesting trio, and do you know what? I'm going to start using the Enganche more because it seems really good. I absolutely love playing with it. I'm going to consider using it a lot more. And the advanced forward, roam from position, close down more, and tackle harder. To the team instructions. Clean slate again, this time positive again, so exactly the same. We are going to still go with fairly wide. We're going to overlap left, overlap right, while playing out from the back with passing to the space selected. The final third is going to remain the same. There's no real reason to change that. We're going to be more expressive this time alongside of running at the back line, or running at defence, should I say. So that is going to be a big change in that term alone. We're going to go with the higher tempo, of course, and this is also going to remain on shorter. So the big change here is also being more expressive, letting the play players express themselves, being attacking and being an absolute nightmare to defend against. Now in transition, this does remain the same because there's no real need to change it, but of course we're in a bit of a panic now. We're trying to get a goal. We're going to distribute quickly while countering and also applying when possession has been lost, selected to counter press. And lastly, out of possession, we are going to go with the high press line of engagement, the higher defensive line, get stuck in, and we are on this occasion going to max out that trigger press. Now over to a defensive tactic for those of you that can't really find a way to seal out the games without conceding very annoyingly late on. I'm going to help you today. So now for the defensive tactic, I had to think, Josh, what can you do to make this even more defensive? And you know what? We are somewhat limited, but it started off obviously with the wing-backs. The goalkeeper, to clarify, does remain unchanged, as does both of the ball-playing defenders. The wing-backs are both now going to be on support on tackle harder and mark tighter. We're going to have two DMs who are both going to be on the same hold position, tackle harder, and also mark tighter. We are going to be marking so tight, it's going to be so frustrating for any team to get past us. It is such a defensive masterclass, this tactic. It really, really is. The Enganches remain exactly the same now as what they were in the default tactic. So the ones out on the wide, so the left and the right, get further forward, stay wider and tackle harder. Within the middle, simply just being on tackle harder. And the advanced forward also remains unchanged on roam, close down more and tackle harder. So this 4 block here, this little triangle, I am not going to change at all because that is the DNA of this team. This sort of area here is now a lot more defensive, so that is why it becomes a lot more defensive, but also there's quite a big shift up when it comes to the team instructions. So now to the team instructions, all based off the clean slate, again on the cautious now, the cautious mentality, which is why we are so much better off when it comes to, let me actually put it on cautious, to actually defending these games out. We are going to go to play out from the back, we're going to go to shorter, the tempo is going to be set to slightly lower. We are going to implement a frequent time wasting method, and the concept behind this tactic is to simply get the ball and just play it about with a low tempo, time waste when we can, I've hurt my leg, anything you can do, run that clock down. And in transition, we are going to slow the pace down while playing to anyone across the back line with no favour distribution type. We are going to counter when the ball has been won, because we're basically going to put, if you can look at the people countering, we've still got a block for, or like a square here, both for the DMs and both for the centre-backs. And from what I've seen in the game, not all of these players get forward at the same time anyway, all at the same level. So you're not going to have too much of a risk, and just having counter on means you can still go and get your goal. Without counter on, you are just going to invite pressure, 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 and you're going to have no way out. So you need to have that on. And lastly, out of possession, it's going to be the standard line, the high pressing line of engagement, and more often when it comes to that trigger press. But that's going to complete for you boys and girls back home 3 variants of the excellent Enganche excellence. However I decide to title it, we will see. But genuinely a lot of fun to play with a tactic like this. Of course it is like a 4-2-3-1. That is why it is so good, because it's by far the best result, or the best tactic for results in the game. But if you ever enjoyed back home, it would mean the absolute world if you would consider leaving a like on the video, subscribing to the channel, and if you want to see more tactics, you can comment right below what you want to see. Manager tactics, generic tactics like this one. If you enjoy rebuilds, I've got a rebuild channel which I will put on the screen now if I remember, and also it's going to be in the description. And if you do want to go over and show some love back to me as a creator, you can come over to the Patreon and join the other 4,600 people, loads of people over there, loads of perks. There's an ultimate vibe over there, so hopefully I'll see you there shortly, and I'll be seeing you in the next one. Enjoy the rest of your day.